Well, look, guys, I want to thank y'all for coming. We've got with us Norris Tolson and Bob Pike, both with Gateways Partnership. We're going through a little bit of transitioning there. And so maybe you guys can start, go through that whole process and what we got what to look forward to going forward.
Well, Bob came on board September last year and started a transition period. And so we've kind of been working through the system for the partnership so he understands the lay of the land and who we're dealing with, what the projects are, and where the skeletons are buried.
Right. It is important to know where the skeletons are and who buried them, right? Well, welcome back. I mean, you're not a stranger to the area, so
that's true.
Give us a little background on you. I mean, I know you, and a lot of people do, but a lot of people watching don't.
Yeah, so grew up on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and after graduating from that university up there that took Buck Williams from this community, University of Maryland. Spent some time in Albemarle, North Carolina, then some time in Minneapolis, and coming back, most of our adult life, if you will, I was living in Nashville. Just ran Brazel Foods for almost 20 years and helped out with Eggland's Best project there. And recently, last 4 years, been up in Statesville on some projects, and this opportunity came up to be able to come back home, so to speak, and with 4 children east of Raleigh and 6 grandchildren. And it's just been an opportunity to come back and give back to a community that's been so important to me and my family.
Sure. Well, that's great. Welcome.
Yeah.
So tell me what great projects we have in front of us. I know there's always great news coming out of the Gateways Partnership.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, I'll let you handle that.
Well, I tell you, it's exciting. Coming on board into this job, you always try to get ahead of the game and understand what the partnership is doing. And when you pull a curtain back, sometimes it doesn't smell as good as you think it should. But since being here for the last, 6 months now, you pull the curtain back, there's so many opportunities been coming at us. And obviously, Kingsborough, the mega site, we're number 1 in the state and probably the Southeast, and maybe some people would say the country, of really opportunities of attracting mega projects, especially geared around funding that's coming out of the Department of Energy and a lot of the Inflation Reduction Act infrastructure monies. But we're also excited about some smaller projects. I mean, they're smaller in terms of compared to the mega site, but still those singles, doubles, and triples are in our mind is as important, maybe more important, and also with some potential expansion of existing operations. But we're really close. We won't say percentages, but I describe it the fat ladies up off the bench clearing her throat.
Okay.
And it will be a game changer, not only for our community, but the region. And again, piggybacking on the legacy that obviously the partnership has done for, since 1997. And, what more could you ask for behind Oppie and Norris? And the wake they're leaving right now is fanning out pretty hard and wide and making a difference.
Well, it is kind of exciting. We get to do a lot of whale hunting. That's what you guys really have been doing over the while.
Exactly.
But, even last night, Oppie came together to council chambers and asked for, a resolution in support of a grant. I think it was like $625,000, $500 the state. I think it was a $25,000 matching fund from the city. And we just kind of blipped through it, really. It wasn't really a big news point, but it was like 50 jobs with the average salary being $75,000 and like a several $1 million expansion, and we don't talk about that. That's a big damn deal.
That's a neat project too. This guy he's on it's a Hispanic related projects that serve in the Hispanic community in the Southeast of the U.S. out of Rocky Mount. And interesting enough, we're working on another one that we started in the last 2 weeks in Rocky Mount. That's very, very similar. This guy has got 500 clients on the internet and also 50 clients that he delivers to. So
really,
that's going to be a real neat project. We'll be back to y'all on that one pretty quick.
Well, I'm excited, but here again, we don't. We talk about the whale hunts, and they are fun. They are pretty exciting, right? But,
sure.
But 10 of those projects, get you down the
Goes a
road
long way.
500 jobs. You know?
Send me the small ones. I like the small ones because they don't make a big sucking noise when they leave.
Well, you're right
If
about
they
that.
leave. If
You're
they
right.
leave.
You're right about
If they
that.
leave.
You're right. You're right. You know, they become part of the community a lot faster, a lot quicker. So anyway, it's all good.
But we are an interesting community, as we've talked before, Mayor. When I've been here with you,
Mhm.
Rocky Mount and the whole region that we're serving is really on the rise.
Right.
It's doing very, very well. We're getting a lot of attention. The reason we're getting all that attention is we got product.
Right.
We got
Pretty much.
land.
Right.
We got a great quality of life here that we can sell versus the other places in the state where these folks might be coming from, or other places in the United States. And the other thing we got is we've got a really great potential workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the issue for us is we got to get it trained and get it into the marketplace where they can get hired. But one of the projects that we're getting very close to has got a salary level on it, which I can't talk about yet,
Mhm.
but it is much higher than the county average.
Much.
And it will
That won't
bring,
take much, but
it will bring a lot of jobs.
Good.
A lot of jobs.
A lot
Good.
of payroll.
good.
That'll be spent on whatever.
Well, that's what we need, right? And that's the other thing I think is the challenge for the city, right? As a partner to y'all in economic development,
Right.
we've got to create an environment where people want to live, work, and play. And that's been the thing that's been missing. And, most recently, the entertainment district project that we were working on didn't quite cross the finish line this go round, but perhaps it does in short order. It does just that. And that's what we've
Right.
got to do. We've got to have a place where if you're 20 something and single, you feel like you have a life.
Right.
Where you're 60, 70 and you're retired and you still want to have a life, right? You still want some activity going on, some
Right.
places to eat, and instead of having to commute 50 to 60 miles.
Well, we're in the interesting position right now where instead of just recruiting companies to come and set up their businesses, which
Right.
we're doing, obviously, that's our main game. But we're also now into the fun position of being able to recruit daycare centers,
Mhm.
urgent care centers, training centers, advanced research centers. With Edgecombe County is starting to look at we'll start to build early next year an emergency management center, and so we're starting to flesh out as a region that's growing up,
Mhm.
but still got a lot of opportunity to grow. That's the fun part.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because one of the things that every employer, when they come here and you guys are, well, first of all, just walk me through the process. I don't think anybody really understands the process. Somebody comes to town, they say, hey, we're interested in looking at your site. And usually it's a broker that does that, right? Can you just kind of walk through that whole process so that folks listening can understand?
Yeah, you look at it mainly like a sales effort, right? It's branding the
Right.
community, so to speak, and the different projects. And we have several different pipelines. Obviously, EDP&C is the North Carolina pipeline, if you
Mhm.
will. And a lot of the projects come through that organization, especially to the tune with these mega projects, but even the smaller type projects. But then, the legacy that's here and the relationships that Norris and Hoppy have had for decades,
Mhm.
the network of consultants that go out and represent corporations for expansion and site development. But once whether it's through the internet or word of mouth, and a lot of it's relationship type marketing, if you
Mhm.
will, they come in and they see the inventory that we have and all the attributes of individual sites, but also the region. Got to get them in here, get them. It's like anything else.
Sure.
Let them feel it, smell it, and taste it. And once you get them here, then you have all the follow up, due diligence work. We have a team with Bobby Joyner and his engineering group. I tell people he's probably one of our best salesmen because he
Yeah.
gets in front of the client, and that really takes off in what they need to develop their sites.
I think another fact, though, that needs to be raised is that this is a community that we're lucky to work in and
Right.
serve that is poised for growth.
Right.
And so it's kind of fun when we come over to meet with you and the city council, that all we get is a positive response and hey, is this enough? What else can we do? When
Yep.
we go to our Edgecombe County commissioners, we get the same kind of response. The questions generally fall into the category, is that enough? Is there something else we ought to be doing? And how can we nail this one shut and move on to the next one?
Right.
And that's really, and town of Tarboro the same way.
Mhm.
We're fortunate right now, Mr. Mayor, in that we've got projects working in all of our 3 service areas
Mhm.
and good projects. I mean, projects that are going to bring a lot of jobs and a lot of investment. And everywhere we go to talk to the if you will, the politicos, they always say, good job, go get us another one. What else can we do to help you?
And then it's like, what have you done for me today? Right?
That's it.
What have you done lately?
That goes with the territory.
Coming into this position, the opportunities as a region. I know we want to do everything we can for our three main stakeholders in supporting us, but some of these projects are going to be a region effect, much like what RTP was and has developed into. That the east of 95 is the last frontier of North Carolina economic development. And when you look at the university system, and Norris is able to pick up a phone and get 8 community college presidents around the same table and putting a unified effort of that community college's system. Mm-hmm. So it's more than just site development, selling. It's that workforce development. Norris mentioned a daycare, childcare component. People go to work, they might want to work if they don't have a place for their kids because they're a single parent or whatever. And tying that whole program as part of our economic development efforts is all critical. That's going to lead up to, over the next 10, 15 years, a massive growth of opportunity. And
that's really where I was trying to go a little bit in the conversation. I mean, I know that when folks are looking here, we put together these radiuses in terms of, because everyone wants to know where the employees are going to come from, right? Mm-hmm. And the truth is there are no employees anywhere. So we're not alone in that. But
no, that's right.
But the concentric circles around us, and I can't remember what it is, like 90 miles or something, like 4.2 million people. Is that kind of right-ish? And then,
well, we got 1 million potential employees within a 75-mile radius of Rocky Mountain.
Okay. There you go.
So what we got to do is go out and find them. But if you look at the companies that are already here, they are already recruiting in that radius.
Sure.
Cummins is recruiting in 15 to 18, maybe 20 counties. Pfizer's recruiting in 24 counties. Hitachi over in Tarboro are recruiting in 21 counties. We got a company down in Greenville that is recruiting in 32 counties and bringing people in from 32 counties into Greenville to work every day.
Well, and that's sort of my point too. The roads have gotten so much better. Back in the old days, you build a factory in your location and all of a sudden everybody moved there. Well, that just doesn't do that anymore, because I can hop in the car and I can be 50 miles down the road and in 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Yeah. If I'm going east, I can be in Williamston in no time.
Well, you were involved with us when we brought the DMV project here to Rocky Mount. Everybody assumed that we'd lose a lot of those people that worked at DMV in Raleigh, and we did lose some. But the important thing is that we brought most of those people to Rocky Mount.
That's right.
And not only that, they are happy there in Rocky Mount. They got a great place to work out there, and they found, just like you just said, they can get here from Raleigh or wherever they live in the Raleigh environs to Rocky Mount almost as quick, if not quicker, than they could get downtown Raleigh from where they lived around Raleigh.
That's right.
And it's a much easier drive.
I went into one of their orientation classes maybe 8 months ago or so, and I was, they were saying, look, we hired, I can't remember the number, 100 people. I'm making it up. That's about right. And they overhired intentionally, thinking they were going to lose 15% or whatever their normal number is. And they said, in fact, we haven't lost a single person.
They didn't lose them.
And everybody's been awesome. And those are local jobs. And again, we don't talk about that after we've done the project, which I think is a little bit of a shame, because we need to continue to talk about that impact. But it's also incumbent on us as a city and us as an area to try to provide that environment for you guys to sell. And so it's not just about, it's about creating that live, work, play environment. It's about housing. You've been screaming that for years.
Yeah, that's right.
And then what are we going to do as it relates to, child daycare, clinics, that kind of stuff. And, I just think kudos to try to get ahead of the ball, because that's what we're going to need.
Yeah, I was with a client this morning that is looking at our area. And one of the questions that client asked me is, where are my folks going to live?
Right.
And I said, that's a challenge for everybody right now in North Carolina. But in Edgecombe and Nash counties, we need somewhere, in my opinion, I'm not a real estate guy, but in my opinion, we need 3,000 to 4,000 housing units available almost immediately. Kingsborough, where Bob was talking about earlier, this project we're about to land, we're gonna put 1,500 people out there in the next 3 years.
Well,
we believe. Excuse me, one more comment on that. We believe that the Kingsborough site, when we build it out completely, and we think we'll fill it up in the next 12 to 15 months, it's going to be in the range of 3,000 to 4,000 people working at Kingsborough.
So anybody who's Googling the area, looking for housing, Rocky Mount's welcoming you. So I just got to make sure I say that out loud, right?
To that point, also on the workforce, we have a bleed of employees going east and some, going west.
Sure.
And, one of the things we've kicked around and particularly on long term or even short term is to put a campaign. Why are you driving to Raleigh? Why are you sitting in traffic?
Right.
And also, if you're in Raleigh, come this way, right? We've got good paying jobs, even existing businesses like Pfizer and Cummins or even in the smaller companies. Cost of living, all the key factors that come into play here is going to continue. One of the things coming back, if you will, over the last 4 years that I've been, and I've told several people this, the culture has changed in this area.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing young people coming back, our kids' age.
All my children are back.
Professionals that are said, we want to go to Charlotte and Raleigh, and they found out, I want to have children. This is where I want to be. And along with that says this is a place to come to and to come to work and all the other things that we do as an economic development organization. Is just not bringing companies. It's like you said, it's a sell of the region and all the opportunities that are going with it.
And so how do people plug in? I mean, it is about making the area better. It is about selling everybody. One of the things that you are doing, I know Ramp East started some time ago, COVID kind of, de-emphasized that along with a lot of other things, but you're bringing it back. I mean, so let's
program's coming back this year. We'll start it back up in the spring.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that because I'm not sure everybody knows what Ramp East is, but I think it's awesome in terms of what we've got to do to be prepared.
Ramp East is a training program where we brought together 8 community colleges in 10 counties in eastern North Carolina, set them around the table, created a program that would train workers based on what the clients, what our company said, this is what we need.
Right.
So we put together a training program, and each of the community colleges now has a target to go out and recruit those students and get them ready to be hired. We'll bring that program back up this spring. We've already started in a couple of the community colleges, but we'll bring it back up in all 8 this spring. And then we believe we'll turn out 800 to 1,000 students a year through that program.
Well, and to your point about, folks leaving or staying, I mean, this creates, a lot of these companies that are coming in, it creates real career paths. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, when we were talking about training, I don't need a 4-year degree from an accredited university necessarily. I mean, and if I do for my job, then a lot of these companies will provide those opportunities while I work.
To grow.
And that's powerful.
The certificate programs are probably as important to a potential employer. And to Norris's comments, when we sit across the table from clients, probably the second thing that they ask most times is where you at with workforce development. And the fact that the community college comes in and presents a first class program, but also they go out and see the facilities, the training facilities that are in place. And also, like Norris commented on the different projects, is that we have plans on the board to build training centers that are just going to complement these large projects.
So exactly the 8 university or colleges, community colleges, how does that really work? So I can plug in then from Martin County.
Yeah, we cover all 8 of the community colleges between here and the coast.
Okay.
And so they are
Edgecombe,
and they are all teaching the same program.
Okay.
So that you can plug in any one of these counties, and at one of these colleges. When you finish the program, that college will certify you to be hired.
Okay.
And generally speaking, what happens is that they bring industry, because each of those colleges have created an industry network around them. And so Edgecombe may have 10 or 15 companies that are associated with that network. Nash County's got the same thing. And each of the other colleges have the same network. And so when they get close to a class graduating, these young people have gone out and visited those companies, 1, and 2, when they get close to graduation, their HR people will come in and interview right on the scene, and oftentimes they all get hired right on the scene.
Well, I mean, y'all formed an HR committee here.
I was going to mention.
Right? Yes, go ahead. I mean, that's so. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're lapping up that class, and they're probably fighting over them.
And I think that's
they need the employees, and when we say here's a basket of people that are ready to be hired, they all show up.
Right.
And generally speaking, everybody gets an offer that night.
So the job
that
fair's
day.
there. Can I do that as part of like early college? You know, like, can I do that when I'm like 16, 17, you know, and I've completed my core curriculum and.
Well, I think it even goes deeper.
Okay.
I know one of the things I picked up before coming here is in Wichita, Boeing supplies coloring books for the kindergartners on how to build airplanes.
Okay.
And a lot of the work, you know, Norris can talk more about the HR group that's come together. And you got to dig down into the elementary schools because it's just like these large projects we come and, you know, the kids are freshmen in high school right now will be available to work for the, you know, when those companies come online. But digging down and just giving the message of the type of jobs that are going to be out there, the well-paying jobs that are there, but also the environment, the culture of these companies. You know, it's something that the next generation, it's so important for them to understand.
Well,
Sure.
we've also started a very intentional program. Dr. Ellis in Nash County and Dr. Bryan at Edgecombe
Okay.
have created a program which they're offering up to their graduating seniors, which is sort of the beginning of this Ramp East program we talked about.
Okay.
These young people will be able to elect in their spring semester a course of study that will get them certified when they graduate, not only with a certificate of graduation, but they'll be certified by their high school and the community college who will provide the training that they're ready to be hired.
That's what I was asking. So there's that seamless transition that occurs there.
Exactly.
So if I'm inclined or I want to consider this as an option, there's that gateway to make that happen.
Yeah, we find a lot of high school graduating seniors don't really know what they want to do. Some of them think they want to go on to college. Some of them don't know that.
Right.
But what this program will do is provide them an opportunity to make that transition into the workplace directly. And once they get into the workplace, then the workplace will take them in the advanced training as they need it on their job so they can get the skill base.
Right.
Apprenticeships, that type of thing. The
Sure.
other avenue, and you know, Norris with his visionary has even done a faith-based initiative. Is going into the churches and spreading the word, so to speak, no pun intended, of the availability of opportunities. You know.
Well, that's important to get the word out, right? And again, it is about trying to retain our talent. We export an awful lot of good folks from our community, and
Too many.
And I hate that. I mean, I love
many.
it for these guys. You know, they're doing well, but so you know, I mean, Chuck Robbins, who is the present CEO at Cisco Systems out on the West Coast, is a Rocky Mountain Senior High graduate. You know, he was 2 years ahead of me. You know, just think of that caliber of talent still in town, the impact that could have, and it's pretty. You know,
one of the things that's a big challenge for graduating seniors from high school is that they tend to lose that connection between the education place and the workplace.
Right.
And what we're trying to do with our faith-based initiative is to make sure that we can get the word into their hands that there are really good jobs here that pay well, that you don't have to go to Raleigh or some other place to get a job. You could do it right here at home and stay at home.
So is there any job retraining component here? Is there any opportunity? Because we have a fairly large unemployment rate in Rocky Mountain and in Edgecombe County. Is there any opportunity to try to bring that group of folks into the workplace? And how would you access that other than, I guess, applying?
Well, we're trying to every vehicle we can to reach out to that unemployed or underemployed population and say, here are the jobs that we've got. As I just mentioned to you earlier, we got to have 3,000 to 4,000 jobs that we've got to find people for. Companies that are coming here, they're paying very well. They're coming here and they're going to need employees. And these are what I would call career type jobs. They're not just to fill the job for a short while. You can fill the job and move up through the ranks in these companies and wind up living very, very well right here at home.
It's not the old factory job.
That's right.
You know, where I'm on the assembly line for 50 years. It's not that at all. It's a live, work, and
most of these modern factories, Sandy, they're beautiful. They're air conditioned. They're clean. They're pleasant work. But yeah, you got to work,
of course.
But they're still they're very inviting places to work. They're air conditioned. You know, it's not a sweat box, and so it's a pretty neat place to work. I mean,
And
If we can get a young person to walk on most of the plant floors in our region right now, they would be amazed
Well,
at what a great workplace it is.
I've taken them to Cummings, and if they're all like that, it's pretty daggone.
well, that's the standard that industry, not just
Right.
here, but throughout the
Right.
country. But the other thing is the training, the on-site training a company is prepared to do
Mhm.
because of, the knowledge base may not be there. They understand they're going to have to take basically a blank slate and train them up, and they will do that.
Right.
The other thing I mentioned too is the great thing about the area that I've learned and picked up, called the bones of infrastructures here.
Right.
And one of those is transportation, and the fact that the Tar River, the transit group, that has got the bones to really expand and help out on a lot of different areas of getting people out. For example, Kingsborough,
Right.
It's
Right.
15 minutes down the road or 10 minutes. So all those things factor in. And again, it's a selling a product. You put all these attributes that we have as a city and a county and a region, whether it's water or electricity or whatever, all those components come into play.
But we got all that for sale here in Rocky Mountain.
You
So
got
just
that
let us
right.
know. We'll plug it out there for you.
Amen.
We got some projects that's really going to be hopefully some good cash generation for the city.
Good. If I'm not mistaken, we have something like 20 million gallons of water availability. So
Yeah, Everything
we gotta
we're
work on
recruiting right now needs water, man.
It's good.
Everything.
Perfect.
This electricity issue is something that's going
Right.
to have to be talked about more and more, not only for us, but for the country, but and we're fortunate as a region to be supplied by Dominion and Duke.
Yeah.
And visiting with your team over the last couple of weeks, and Chris, and on the understanding of the electrical and the work that they do, it's pretty impressive what
It's
they
a
do
fairly
for you.
complex business, isn't it? The
It's
commodities
exciting.
piece and the
Right.
overage, the underages, and all that, and how do you maintain the grid? It's
Challenging.
a lot more to it than it seems when you flip the light switch.
That's all right. Exactly.
But
we have run out of time, guys. So, is you sure I can't extract from you the big secret about who's coming and when they're going to happen here?
Very soon,
No.
Mayor. Very soon, Mayor.
Well, I
Soon,
couldn't
very
let you go
soon.
without asking one more time. Just at least
Maybe the
give it
next
a
time we come back, we'll
Very
be excited.
soon. Very soon.
Excited.
Thank y'all so much for coming. It's been an
appreciate
absolute
you.
delight. It's always a joy.
Yeah.